Today we're going to talk about the Emerald Tablets of Hermes, or Thoth. Hermes and Thoth, those names are used interchangeably, but it's the same person. Thoth comes from Egypt, and Hermes is the name from the Greek personality. But no matter what name I'm using, it's talking about the same person. And that word Thoth, they say, is the root word of thought. Because notice when you look him up, he's the father of mathematics, he's the father of writing, he's the father of medicine and all this other stuff. And that shows that the thought of the human being has developed to bring those things about. Listen at this. Because there was a time, everything that humans do today and everything you use is an invention. Somebody brought it forth. It isn't. We've got to stop the fairy tale now. That's why evolution, learning about what it's talking about, is so important. Even down to making a fire. There was a time you had an ancestor couldn't even make a fire, couldn't make a house. All of these are progressions of the thought on when it came. This is something, isn't it? But that's okay. That just shows again the greatness of how long we've been here as a species. So when we get into the Emerald Tablets, this is a document that was written some 36,000 BC, they say. That's a long time ago. 36,000 BC. But even when we deal with our ancient writings on the planet, that's why I started that talking about evolution and these inventions. We've been here a lot longer than what anybody can write. So it's really not ancient. The real ancient book is us. We don't really need a writing. It's us. You've been here longer than some of the ancient cities, ancient pyramids and stuff. We talk about that like that's a great mystery or fantasy, but we've been here a lot longer than that. So these are all inventions that came about. And when you look at writing, that is very, very powerful technology. When somebody figured out that what comes out of their mouth, we can make a symbol for it. And by keep doing that, you can get a series of symbols to convey your thoughts. And you can give this code to somebody else who learned the code also, and you can actually pick up on their thoughts. That's powerful. Reading is very, very powerful technology. That's why you should take advantage of it at this great age we're in. And it wasn't long ago, again, to most of humanity, no matter what color you were, could not read, could not write, didn't even know that technology. But now we're in an age that more people than ever before know how to utilize that technology. Some people utilize it just more than others, that's all. But it's a very, very important technology that changed the course of human development, changed the course of humanity. This is very powerful. We've got to talk about all of this so you can understand and appreciate how far we came as a species. Now, when you deal with the Breatharian message, and this is why I'm talking about the Emerald Tablets, because it's imprinted right in there. Because I usually say that the Breatharian message isn't new, it's actually ancient, it's just technology that got lost. And it was only for a certain few in certain circles, and I can see why now, especially in this age I'm in, and the more I teach it, some people are not, there is some people can retain knowledge and information more than others, and there are certain situations where they can bring it forth a lot better because they're in better situations than others. I'm finding out more than ever before. And it's not a natural given, like I said. Most things that we do today are inventions that we brought about on the way we're doing things. Not judging it if it's good or bad. So, but when you deal with the human being this very unique creature, we're different than other creatures without a shadow of a doubt, due to, let's take a baby for instance. When you deal with the animal kingdom, the human baby really is not too bright. Look how long it takes just to nurture a human being. It takes decades, or over a decade at least, for it to function properly. It needs just that much care compared to other animals and stuff that's up on their feet. Some don't even need the parent around. It's up on his feet. So it takes a lot of training to develop this mind. A lot of training. And some things are not natural. Meaning if you don't learn how to read and write, you won't know how to read and write. But there's something even deeper than that. Say a bird, for instance. A bird that comes from a species that can fly, and if you got it as a baby, the egg hatch, it would eventually fly when it get older because the genetic memory is in it. But when you're dealing with the human being again, if you had a baby that was born and everybody was in agreement to don't never talk to the baby, don't say nothing, it's going to grow up as an adult not knowing how to talk. Now it gets even deeper than that. If you had a baby and it never saw nobody walking, and it crawled, when it becomes an adult, it's not going to be walking around. These are inventions again. It had to be influenced by somebody else, to get on course. That's why you got to appreciate this age we're in. And no matter what baby it is, what color, what ethnic group, if you was to take that baby and put it with another ethnic group or another culture, it will grow up in that culture and learn the language automatically without even going to school. Because that's why we teach the offspring as soon as they come into this realm. But we came a long way as humanity as a chain reaction. Now let's talk about how far we progress. Back in 1920, that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, was written when a guy came to America. And he told everybody, you got electricity going up and down your spinal cord. Listen at that. Electricity going up and down your spinal cord. Now that was 100 years ago. Now I'm going to paint a picture for you because we don't really think about this. If you was to get a time machine and grab somebody from 100 years ago and bring them up into now, they would think we are gods. They'll be like, because this is a whole nother world than over 100 years ago. The cars is different. The trains, they've never been on a subway or seen a bullet train. To be on a plane where you got the TV there playing and all of this other stuff, they didn't even see that. That's wild, ain't it? Oh my gosh. The internet, you'll take a cell phone and you'll be talking to somebody, FaceTime, way across the world. They will look at this and be like, wow, that was just 100 years ago. So everything got upgraded. That's why they say we're in an age of information. Now there's good information out there and there's bad, but you can weigh it if you really put your mind to it and really want to look at things being factual. I'm saying all this because I'm painting the pictures as we go into the Emerald Tablets. We're going to bring it down to earth so it can make sense. So we won't be talking all fantasy. Because even now when I travel around teaching the breatharian knowledge, it's so practical. It's a holistic lifestyle. People looking for something to hit and all of this other stuff, and it really have messed their mind up. You should ask the right questions and all this other stuff, and how far do you want to go? Can you take it there? Are you qualified? You might not be qualified. This is not for everybody. So that's why you can't put tape on your mouth and say, I remember this one Buddhist monk said, well, it's our nature to be food free. I said, no, it's not. If that was the case, nobody would be starving. Now the cells in your body, on the evolution of the cell, it started out with photosynthesis until it consumed something. So the cells in your body, which functions the same as a rat or a dog, okay, the cells in the body in their evolution could go to that level, but you as a species can't. That's why in ancient times they could talk about a transformation when you really got to transform yourself. Now let's look at that word transform. And let's look at athletics. Because over over 100 years, look how far athletics have came. All records been broken from when it first started out and all this other stuff, and it's progressing more and more and more. Now the human body is still the same as the people back over 100 years ago, but there's so much more we can do now. So much more. Oh man, why? Because technology plays a part in it. When you take running, we got different types of shoes, which is a technology where, we got different tracks to run on. Yes, that makes a difference. It cuts all of that off. We got different swimming pools. When a person's going into sports and really getting it together, all of those are technologies to make people be able to do a lot more. We got different types of equipment like skis, different types of bikes compared to back then. So the technology is up. So this is why the human being could take advantage of the technologies to take himself a lot more further. That's number one. I'm bringing this up because breatharianism is sort of like, you're sort of like an athlete. This isn't for a lazy person sitting there just because you believe. This don't have nothing to do with a belief system like this. These are things you have to utilize and become knowledgeable of and start taking advantage of it. Yes, take advantage of it so you can transform yourself on a stronger energetic level, because we do have an energetic anatomy. Everywhere there's a neuron that in your body, a neuron has electricity. See what age we in now? So back over 100 years ago, he told people you got electricity up in your spinal cord. Most people couldn't even catch that. But today, over 100 years ago, this should be common knowledge across the board. And it's sad because as I go around teaching, people don't know that. I even told a person one time, quite a few times, well, sound is light. It is? Really? Okay, here we go. But that's cool though. This isn't putting people down. You need to start learning this and know this, especially when you're on this journey. It's a higher education. There was even one man starving himself wanting to become a breatharian. And when I started talking about the negative ions of nature, he didn't even know that. And then he had to put 2 + 2 together. I do feel better when I was coming out here every day closer to the negative ions instead of staying in the house. Yes, it makes a difference on how your body's grabbing energy. You see? Now, let's get deeper into it. So the technology is a whole lot different than it is back then till now. And spiritually, or we was to say energetically, you could take advantage of the technology to up your game for your holistic lifestyle. We got light photon therapy. Yeah, what they're telling you, we could take the light and directly put it on the cells of your body to clear out the disease or anything that's there to get the cells more energy so you can heal yourself. Now you can either do that with equipment, or you could do it by putting yourself onto the light, because the last time I checked, everywhere I've been on this planet, there's a daytime and a nighttime. And it makes a difference on the body. And now we know when you're in the daytime hours, your pineal gland, that's in between your eyebrows, lets off a hormone called serotonin into the blood. And at night, it brings out melatonin. And you even hear the warnings about, well, at least at night start turning off the light, because your body is still in light and dark cycles. And if you got yourself out of that cycle too much, it could cause different changes on the body. You see what I'm getting at? This is a whole nother lifestyle. Whole nother lifestyle. That's why they call this civilization also the civilization of diseases. Because we made so much comforts and so much stuff, you have to be careful with it also, because it could be detrimental to your health. And even we live in this age of money. I'm not judging it as good or bad. However, money is one of the greatest inventions, but it's also the greatest illusion. And it can hurt you if you don't use it properly. That's a lot of power, a lot of energy. Happens all the time. But that's a whole other topic in itself. So now the technology got a lot better, where you can use it just over the last 100 years. Then we got a different mindset than people over 100 years ago do. See, even when you deal with sports, they got what you call ultra sports. Now, ultra sports, it was just a few people here and there that's really taking themselves to the extreme. But once they start being able to do certain things with the body and take the body to that level, that began to catch on other people on the potential on what the body can do. So the mindset changed. Because there were certain things, like let's take surfing, for instance. There was a time a person couldn't even surf over a 20-foot wave, 20, 30, 40 or something like that. And there was people even talking about, scientists at that time, why that couldn't be done, because the human anatomy and all of this. But once one person broke it, many people broke it. Today, that's not nothing. A kid can do that, if they put into practice. You see where I'm getting at? So the mindset changed on going more above and beyond, training the body, adapting it to behave differently. So the mindset is a whole nother ball game than what it used to be. And our societies are different. See, there's people still living right now that has a fear-based frequency coming from their body. It wasn't so much their fault. They lived in a time where that frequency was more on the scene. For instance, let's take the U.S. for instance. There was a time that somebody actually lived through. This is where white people drink at, and this is where black people drink at. Or they had to get on the back of the bus. There's people still living who went through that. And you think that didn't affect the mind and all this other stuff? Yes, it did. So that frequency is still there compared to generations who wasn't born into it. Because I even ran into a thing where I started out in the black community on this journey, but I was wondering why a lot of them, especially the older ones, didn't want to go even further, even though what I was talking about made sense. They had a fear-based frequency. If you do this, you might call static coming from the authorities or the white man. That affected people. I saw it plain as day. Oh, man. And even a lot of women have it now. Even though we have breakthroughs with women coming about, there's still that other frequency that was there because there was a society saying, you can't do that, you can't do that. So a lot of people is coming out of it more and more, but it's still kind of there. You understand? Because it was a thing that was actually here that affected the whole consensus reality. That could go on and on. That's a whole other video within itself. But the mindset is different now. Even for me being a speaker like this, being darkly melanated, there was a time, even if I was black, I had to be more lighter for it to be accepted. So now it's finally getting accepted. It took me a certain time to come out. That's wild, ain't it? So the mindset is different. But not only on all of that, on what you can do in society and what you can't do, the mindset is different on ways to develop and push the physical body. One time I wanted to run a marathon, and got right on the internet, and it showed how to train for a marathon for beginners. Down to earth stuff. And I never ran the marathon, but I loved how everything was laid out. It was user friendly. Yes, you had to put in some effort, but it's like week 1, at least try to do 2 miles, And then as time goes on, you add on a little bit more time and all of this other stuff. And you got a good year window to prepare yourself for a marathon. Now, my son, he run marathons and ultra marathons, so I never did it, so he at least does it. But everything is a progression. There's no instant gratification. That's why I said the old way of spirituality, it has done a lot of stuff to people's mind even now to break out of that rut and all of this. And it is a lot of freedom to be grateful, where you can grow up in a place where you have freedom of religion.
What I noticed was, if I wanted to change the world, I had to change myself. So as I put more dedication into myself and began to allow the light to develop me through surrendering, and at first there was times I felt like I wanted to give up. But when I just stayed in there, the light wanted me to grow all along, so it also was helping me all along. That's what I noticed. And when I noticed this is why the universe is user-friendly. As we in this age of light, this predetermined thought, everybody is coming willingly or unwillingly as we go into this new world of light, awareness, and peace, happiness, health, and joy for everybody. So as I began to keep developing myself more and more, I see the mirror image of myself bring about the new world. Being on the path, the main thing is to be consistent. Because when you be consistent, it won't be long before you'll feel that volt of power, that volt of energy that gives the organs vitality, that opens up the channels, that give you life and strength so you can move on and live life to your fullest. Keep on going strong, and keep up the good work.